using workers to train AI, a law firm's AI slop, and the price of the Apple ecosystem. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by NordLayer. Secure your network and stay compliant with a one-toggle-ready platform. Visit nordlayer.com/MacVoices and use the code MacVoices10 for an extra 10% off yearly subscriptions. Okay, this one is not Apple, but I get into a healthy discussion over this last week. Meta tracking employee keystrokes to train AI is probably legal. Experts say that doesn't make it ethical. I get into quite a great discussion about this and whether the employees should be being paid for being tracked and whether this is legal, whether it is ethical. And I don't know. The individual I was debating this with had some really interesting points. But I want to know what you guys think. I mean, and let's put aside the fact that it's Meta, because we all ascribe a lot of diabolical things to Meta. So let's just say that any company tracking my keystrokes and my trackpad movements and my mouse movements and all, for whatever purpose. I mean, it was already being done, especially during and post-pandemic, when that was the only way companies felt like they could have any input on how much work an employee was doing. But now this takes it to another level. So is it legal? Is it ethical? Should the employees be paid extra because they're being monitored and tracked? Or is this just all part of doing your job and your employer monitoring what you're doing? Eric, we haven't heard from you tonight.
I think it's a lot like car insurance companies that say, hey, you put the software on your phone and drive around with it, we'll give you a discount on your insurance. But sometimes you find out that a lot more information is going, so I could see it being offered as an option, but then there should be some benefit to the employee that is having all that information gathered, and there should be enough protections so that you can say no and be able to still keep working.
Okay.
I don't know how to do all the logistics of it. That's just how I think it should work.
Marty, does the training issue, you think, is that relevant here?
Well, I mean, your relationship, and Webb might be able to explain this better than I can. And I think if you're signing up for working for a company, this is what they're saying is part of your job. Now, does that mean they're also going to supply you with the phone to do that job on it, or you have to have some agreement? Does it mean I can carry my own phone with me and do all the nasty stuff I want to on it and just use the phone that they're tracking for models as being the phone that they give me, that has a right to, and the employer has a right to get information from my use on it as part of my role at the company? I don't know. I can see it. I can see, if you sign up for the company, just goes with the job, whether it's ethical, whether it's right. That's my thoughts.
Marty, I'm with you up to a point. Because I think, yes, there are certain expectations you have if you go to work for someone. I guess the thing here is that if this wasn't a part of my original terms of employment, should I be able to renegotiate, which would probably lead to my termination?
That's why they call it employment on demand, Chuck.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's the status that we all employ. Okay. And I could argue with Eric that if and Marty's kind of saying this too, if they're using my knowledge as an employee, and my employment is there to benefit the company. It's not to benefit me as the employee. My employment is to benefit the company to move forward. I think that they are being rewarded because they're taking a salary. Now they can choose not to participate. The employee can. Okay. And the other thing that you point out too is that if they're providing you the phone to do it on, and they're trying to use this to learn how to build and educate and create their models. Okay, I get it. But yeah, it's like I said, it's employment on demand. I hate to break it to you, but any of us that are employed today could be let go tomorrow. That's the mean world. So if you don't want to participate, that's fine. I don't think they can force you to participate. I think that's a little different animal. But if they give you the phone and say, we want you. The other thing is that if you're doing this to benefit a project, a model or something, can they turn around and terminate you if they feel that you're using it to look at something nefarious or by God, if you're at Google and you go look at the Apple website, you've crossed the line. I'm doing a little tongue in cheek, but it's an interesting dilemma. But yeah, I think the employers can do that. I think Apple does that to their own employees, and I think the employees understand
it. I would probably agree with that, Webb. I would probably agree with that. For some reason, this is resonating with me in the sense that if I'm doing business with a company and they say, we want your email address to better communicate with you. And so, okay, I'd like to hear from you. And I give it to them. And then they take that along with 10,000 others and sell it as another way to make money.
Yeah.
That's kind of, that feels
that's
like
a little bit different. Yeah.
It's a little different, but it's also the same, that I signed up for one thing, figuratively, and it's being used for another. And that's sort of what it feels like here. If I signed up to be a medical transcriptionist, which is going away given AI, but if I sign up to be a medical transcriptionist, I'm giving them the transcription service. But they're also, by the way, watching my mouse, watching my keyboard, and learning how I do things. So maybe to improve the AI. Should that have been part of the deal? Should that have been disclosed to me? Or if it's happening after 5 years of employment, should it be disclosed to me? Jeff.
All right. So as I said in our private chat, my hot take is that if a company has to rely on using keystroke tracking and mouse activity tracking to make sure that their employees are doing their job, what you really have is an HR hiring issue, not an employee problem, because your HR people are hiring the wrong employees. Now, I can see situations, and we've touched on this some, where that tracking would actually be a useful thing for a company, and used in the right situations, it could probably be really valuable data. Like you want to see how efficient your people are with new documents and forms that you've created for them to use. Through that tracking, you can probably better find where the bottlenecks, problems, and unclear places in all of those forms actually are more efficiently by watching how people use the forms. So yeah, that would totally make sense. But just general tracking, no, that's an HR issue. And then, but what's happening in this case, where they're saying, yeah, we're going to track everything you're doing, and then we're going to use that to train our AI models. I think it's horribly unethical, but it goes back to what Webb said. If this is what the company wants to do and you want to have a job with the company, then you do that thing. Otherwise, they will hire someone else to do that thing.
What's
Cleese,
what's the ethical boundary that's being crossed, Jeff?
I think the ethical, and okay, I'll preface this with, you can probably present me with an argument that that says I'm wrong, and I am absolutely willing to accept that. The ethical part is it appropriate to be taking all of your employees' work, like keystrokes and all of that data, and then using it in a way that you hadn't previously been using it for? In this case, training models. It just, okay. Maybe a better way to say it is,
I get
this
your
is bad
point. I do.
optics.
Yeah.
it's bad optics, and Jeff, I applaud you for not following through with the other part that most people would say, training their AI to take the person's job. Okay, because I don't see it that way. I don't see the taking the person's job as an issue. That might be a whole separate discussion.
Yeah, that's a separate discussion, and I think the bigger issue there is, if employers are using AI to replace people instead of using it to enhance what the people are doing, then they're going into their AI strategy with the wrong mindset, because you can have incredibly efficient and useful AI systems that give you really valuable data to work with, but they should be the tool that aids the people that are doing the work, as opposed to being the tool that you can say, well, I don't need people anymore.
Eric.
And there are situations, of course, where actually having the AI instead of people to do a job might be better. Like, wouldn't it be better to have a reliable AI system in a highly dangerous area where people could be dying, like down inside a nuclear reactor, or going down into I don't know, volcanoes or deep sea things? That seems like a better way to enhance what people are doing, because you don't have to put their lives at risk.
Eric?
The part of the article I found interesting is the U.S. law is behind. I mean, the U.S. law is always behind technology. But I'm not worried about training to take over for somebody's job. I'm worried about, once you start training in AI, there's nothing to say that you're not going to turn and bundle all that information up and sell it to another AI company to train for something completely different. If I've got a job and the job is what gives me my health insurance, I can't afford to leave that job. I'm stuck there. So if I have to agree to let all my information get tracked, whether it's keystrokes, whether it's location, then it's not really a choice. So that's the first place where maybe there has to be some looking at laws. That's the ethical part. The second thing is, let's say my job is also being on call. Well, if I'm on call and somebody can reach out to call me 24 hours a day, then I've got a company phone, which then can be tracked, location, everything else. Let's say I go to a after school conference for children, then all of a sudden you've got tracking data associated with a child that shouldn't be part of the data set that is now part of the data set. So how do you protect someone that isn't working for the company or is underage? There are other considerations, is I guess what I would worry about. And there's no reason for a company on its own to worry about any of that, because what they're concerned about isn't that, but you are still pulling in that information. And that's something where eventually laws will have to catch up with, how are you scraping this information? How are you bundling it up? How are you sharing it? That's a time problem.
Yeah. Cletus in the chat room says, the way I look at it, if you're using the company equipment, ergo their computers, iPads or phones, they have the right to see how it's being used.
True.
And I don't think any of us dispute that.
But if you're carrying company equipment, maybe not actively using it, that data is still being tracked.
Yeah.
There's no
Well-
differentiation there. If you have the phone and you're carrying it, the assumption is that you're using it for the betterment of the company. In a way, that there's a theory here. It's called the business judgment rule, and it doesn't necessarily directly apply, but there are certain aspects that do. And in this case, as the employer, the theory of the business judgment rule is that the company has to be acting in good faith, has to be acting in the best interest of the corporation itself. It has to be acting on an informed basis. You know that they're doing it, okay? And it also has to, it can't be wasteful of company resources or money and things like that. So we're treading on this what we think is ethical, and then what is the business rule. And we're trying to put those two together, and sometimes you just can't. Okay, there's a sense of loyalty, if I can use that word, when you're employed. That when I'm working for an organization, when I'm working for Apple, there's an expectation that I'm going to be loyal to Apple. Another way of saying that is that while I'm working for Apple and I have information of some kind that could be of benefit to a competitor, I'm not going to share that information. That's the expectation. Okay. Now you violate that, then there are other remedies that can go on. But anyway, I don't want to drag this on. I think we've gone on the subject way too long, but it's an interesting dilemma. I don't deny that. I have employees, and I do provide them one of these, right? By the way, picture my wife.
Wife.
Yeah. So now, can I track them? Sure, I can. Do I? No, I don't subscribe to what is it, Jafra or whatever it is. I don't do it. I probably could, and sometimes I probably should. Only because if they lose the device, I got to be able to wipe it, things like that. So anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, but before you do, would you hold the phone up again a second? Okay, so you give every employee of an iPhone with a picture of your wife on it? Is that what you said?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I love my wife.
No,
Yeah.
he gives them all a wife.
Now. No.
Okay,
Technically, this is my phone, not the company's phone.
Okay, well, glad you
This one's the
that.
company's phone. So,
Jeff, I got two for you. Well, for everybody, but for you, did you see that Astropad unveiled a workbench for Mac, a remote desktop made quote unquote for the AI era? And also that Adobe has launched Firefly AI Assistant to orchestrate tasks across Creative Cloud.
Yes,
Because I knew you were an Astropad user, and right away I thought, I wondered if you jumped on this or not.
I have not jumped on the new Astropad desk thing because there's been a whole litany of dumpster fire going on. No, my schedule has been too busy for me to actually devote time to that. But I'm very interested in what it lets you do. The whole thing with, well, yeah, I've already got my remote access tools to my various devices. Why would I need this? That's not how the Astropad desk thing is actually working. I mean, yes, it's doing remote, but it's designed to let you use your tools in a way that there's like less resistance to the learning process. It's designed to improve your efficiency, and of course they have creative people in mind with this as well. And then the Adobe thing. How can I not have known about this, considering basically every ad I see on every social platform that has ads is the stupid Adobe thing? And I say it's stupid only because I'm so tired of seeing the ads. I can see where the Adobe thing is going to be super handy for a lot of people, because it will let you create like really good graphics, really good animations in a very short time, and so that could be useful for marketing. If you're a social media influencer, now you have another tool in your toolbox. I think there's a lot of potential for that. Just like everything else, I worry about people abusing the tools and using them in very wrong ways. So hopefully, Adobe will be able to keep a lid on that part, and people just get we as people that see the content will just be seeing the things that are more appropriate, and not content that should never have been created or released.
I haven't had the dumpster fires you've had, but I've been traveling a lot, and so I'm really anxious to see what this one particular AI, this AI for the information age, or however what the phrase was. But I'm looking forward to seeing, because I feel like Astropad has such a good reputation that I want to see if it pertains to me.
And it might.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a Mac, you have an iPad, you have an iPhone. This could be a very compelling way to use those devices together in ways that you didn't realize you could before now.
Today's MacVoices is supported by NordLayer. Running a business means keeping a lot of plates spinning. Customers, employees, vendors, financials, projects, and all the data that keeps everything moving. And whether your team is in one office, working remotely, or somewhere in between, securing access to that data cannot be an afterthought. You need NordLayer. NordLayer gives businesses a secure network platform that is one toggle ready, helping protect your company's resources without making things complicated for your team. It is designed to help businesses secure remote access, support compliance needs, and reduce risk as work happens across different locations, devices, and networks. For business owners, that means less worrying about whether the right people have secure access, and more confidence that your company is taking smart steps to protect itself. NordLayer is built for modern businesses that need security that works without slowing everyone down. MacVoices viewers and listeners get an exclusive offer, up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans, plus 10% on top with the coupon MacVoices10. Try it risk-free, 14-day money-back guarantee at nordlayer.com/MacVoices. Thanks to NordLayer for supporting MacVoices. Even though we started late, just got a couple more that just to touch on. Top law firm Sullivan & Cromwell told a U.S. federal bankruptcy court that a major filing it made in a high-profile case contained multiple AI hallucinations.
Can you stop saying hallucinations and just call it what it really is? It's errors. It's failures on the AI part. It's not hallucinating. Okay, I'm done with that part, Marty. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, have you ever talked to a lawyer for more than 3 minutes and not start to hallucinate?
That's fair.
Send your emails to Marty Jencius at
this. Yeah, this is the same story that there are all these little incidents that come up that make nice little salacious kinds of stories for people to click on to go, oh my God, AI is terrible. Well, no, people who run it poorly make it terrible. And it only makes it better that it's a lawyer, and a law firm that it happened to. So
I guess
By what type of hallucinogens they were.
yeah.
Yeah, they're
Ask
doing lines of
your
silicon.
Yeah.
I guess,
MDMA.
well, I look at these as cautionary tales that, are they clickbaity? Absolutely. But on the other hand, people need to be called out when they're making these kind of mistakes. And the professions that we see as being theoretically held to a higher standard, or at least operating in an environment that you'd like to think was operating to a higher standard, need to be called out. I mean, this is a high-profile firm, and I'm now just lifting from the headline, but it's a high-profile firm. It's a federal court, and multiple errors, Jeff. So nobody checked them. Nobody bothered. They just went with it.
Yeah, if they required to check that material, they would be billing about $350 an hour instead of $250 an hour.
Well, the worst thing is they would be checking it with an AI.
Hey, Marty, I want to know where you're finding your lawyers because I pay much more than that. So.
Well, this is why Marty's bankruptcy didn't go well.
Yeah.
Kidding. Marty didn't have a bankruptcy to the best of my knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going
there's
to
a
my
wedding
son's
coming.
wedding.
Yeah,
There's a wedding coming. Who are you
Marty's
kidding?
bankruptcy is in process right now.
Hey Marty, when is that? I know it's coming up sometime
It's a
soon.
week from Saturday. So
Okay.
yeah, coming down the bin.
Okay.
Hey, Chuck, I've been talking a lot tonight. Do you mind if I talk a little bit on this? And if you prefer, I just stay quiet. I'm happy.
You mean on Marty's bankruptcy or something else?
On the AI law firm thing.
Oh no, go for it.
Okay, this is not the first time law firms have been hit with problems because they let AI create a whole filing for them. You'd think that these law firms would have learned by now, don't do this. And the don't do this part isn't don't use these tools to help you create your filings. The don't do this part is just take what they give you and submit it. You still need to go through the entire document. You have to use AI correctly. The failure here is the law firm, not the AI tool that they used. And what they should have done is had their people, so in this case, it would be a bank of paralegals, go through the entire document and make sure that everything is right.
Yeah, sanity check.
Yeah, and where the AI in this case could be really useful is you give it all the data, you feed in all the documents related to, in this case, it was a bankruptcy, feed it all that, and then let it find all of the appropriate correlations and relationships, have it put together the document for you, and it can do that part very quickly. And then the people that would have spent weeks putting this together will now spend days going through what was created very quickly by the AI. So this goes back to the thing before. Let the AI do the part it's really good at to enhance what the humans do. Now, the humans can go back through that document and in a matter of days and make sure everything's right. In this case, they should have found all of these errors, and then they would have been able to fix them before they end up having to apologize to a court and say, yeah, we really screwed up with this one.
You missed this. You missed this step, Jeff. The step that should have also been done was bankruptcy law should have been fed into the AI, so it had a benchmark from which to make the decisions around.
Yes. And okay, now without reading the article, my assumption was they were actually using one of the AI platforms designed for this very thing, because you can get them where you subscribe to them, and then they have the legal databases from whatever jurisdictions you are working in, and then they're supposed to be able to do that. But yes, they need, if they didn't, they needed to have the right legal data in there to begin with.
So realistically, I think we're going to see a whole lot more of this, because not everyone is at the same stage of figuring out how to use AI. Each company is implementing it differently and not necessarily consistently. The training of how to use it varies from the, hey, everyone should use this because we're going to save a crap ton of money, to you can't use it at all because you can only use this particular one and it doesn't yet do this function you need. So as this gets rolled out, there's going to be errors, mistakes, hallucinations, however you want to phrase it, across all of the different industries. And the real question is, how long is it going to take to actually find them? These are cases where somebody bothered to check, or the judge checked, or the opposing counsel checked and brought it to light. I think we're going to find cases where there were errors that didn't get caught, and years later somebody's going to say, hey, wait a minute, that was a problem.
What I want to know is the law firm that's going to handle the prosecution of this law firm for legal malpractice, will they be using AI to draft the complaint?
You can bet they'll have their paralegals go over that document.
Yeah, you would hope so. But again, it feels like something like this. I think the reason I found it so offensive, it's not new, but if I use AI to write up the description for this show, and it decides that it wants to, make a big thing out of, Marty's recipe for creamy grits, I should be going through there and saying, wait a minute, that's kind of not the point. But that's a lot different than putting something in front of a court, a bankruptcy court in a federal jurisdiction. So, I
don't know. I think my creamy grits are pretty damned important. The false equivalency here is that human beings, meat bags, never really make mistakes.
Yeah, good point. Eric, you had a comment about creamy grits?
Yeah, no. I'm staying away from that. So, this example was a law firm, but the other example is, coders in companies dealing with routers, or Amazon dealing with storage, using AI to kind of make a bunch of decisions, but having it able to make changes itself without review. There are massive outages that were caused by someone being told, yeah, use AI for this because it's a lot faster, but then not having the appropriate checks before things were committed. And, I'm hoping Amazon learned its lesson, but having whole piles of the country not being able to route traffic was, that was a lesson that those companies had no control over it. So as every area discovers this problem, and then there's always the few people that miss it and then have to learn the hard way. So we're just going to keep seeing it again and again. Now, that doesn't mean that there shouldn't be the checks, that especially in a really big company, they shouldn't find it. I'm just saying we're going to continue to see this.
And I'm going to continue to point out the more interesting parts of the story because, again, yes, maybe they're clickbait. I also think they're educational and cautionary if they're written up right. They can be sensationalized, of course, but we all need to be aware of this. Tom Merritt had on the Daily Tech News Show an article that I really didn't bother to call up here, but you're bringing it to mind, Eric. That it was a company that had given AI permission to go in and do some work on their I guess their operating software for their business, and the AI was trying to make a correction to what it thought was an error, so it kind of jumped to where it shouldn't have. There was some human error involved, but basically it ended up deleting not just the operating system of the company, but also all the backups to it.
Oh my gosh.
Ouch.
And the backups were stored in the same volume as the operating system.
Okay,
So
well, that's a problem right there.
yeah,
Oops.
yeah. So there's some human error, but yeah, these are all things we're going to have to learn from, and hopefully we won't make the mistakes. Are not as big as they are. So.
Well, and hopefully this kind of thing will start trickling down to the tech schools training people and to the colleges and universities that are training people before they go out in the field. It just hasn't made it through the whole system yet.
Right. And the AIs themselves, are still developing and still getting better. As Dave Hamilton kept saying, I guess starting a year ago, he said, this is as bad as it will ever get. It's only going to get better. And that seems to be pretty much holding true. You don't agree, Eric?
No, because the better AI apparently gets, the more people will trust it. The more they trust it, the more they let it do on its own, and then the bigger the mistake will be when it happens.
Okay, that's fair. I don't like it, but it's fair. Last one of the evening is something we had talked about quite some time ago, and I just scrolled away from it and now lost it. Basically, it is that an entire Apple ecosystem now can be had for less than the price of one of the high-end iPhones. That you can have with the Neo, you can have a laptop, you can have a watch, you can have a phone, and you can, and you're all in on the Apple ecosystem for less than the price of one of the high-end phones.
MacBook Pro.
MacBook Pro. So I throw that out as almost information that, if you're shopping and you're thinking about making a jump over, just think about that value proposition and what you're buying into.
I think it's a great gift for college kids who are going away to college. You can get them the whole ecosystem, and then they can take the whole ecosystem, sell it to somebody else for money, and then use the money to bet on Kashi.
Always thinking, aren't you, Marty?
Yeah.
Yep.
He's looking for ways to fund that wedding is what he's doing. So.
It's Marty playing 5-dimensional chess again.
Guys, thank you so much. I've really missed this. I've missed you guys. And I've missed the chat room because I've been watching their conversations. Sometimes we got a little bit ahead of them. Sometimes they got a little bit ahead of us. But there are a lot of great comments in there too. So thanks to everyone who's contributing tonight. It always adds just another dimension to the show. Let's go around, let folks know where they can find you, and then we'll get out of here. And I'm going to flip it around. So I want to start with Eric and his budding fruit. Eric, thank you very much. Where can folks find you?
Out in the woods, waiting for the flowers to bloom, knocking on trees and seeing who's, right. I can be found on Mastodon at EA-Bolden at mas.to. Sunday nights, talking about the exciting new Neo Notebook on the Neo Notebook. Mondays on Vision Profiles. Tuesdays, of course, here, finally, we're all back again on Vision Profiles. On MacVoices Live, and then Thursdays on In Touch with iOS. Although this week I believe it's Wednesday.
Good. Thanks, Eric. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs, thank you for being here. You can loosen your tie as soon as we wrap up. Where can folks find you?
Thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be here and miss seeing everybody. Best place to find me is through my website, brian8944.com. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Brian. Marty Jencius, I hope you make it back next week before the wedding so we can tease you even more. Where can folks find you?
You can find me at Jencius, Jencius, on most of the socials. Also, find out about the shows I'm involved in at thepodtalk.net is the website. Sunday nights with the Neo Notebook about the MacBook Neo. Monday nights with Vision Profiles for the Vision Pro headset. Tuesdays here with this great group. Thursdays with Dave on In Touch with iOS. Friday mornings on the Mac Show. If I can sneak away from my dean. But check out the podtalk.net. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Marty. And for those of you who are not watching the video, you really should, because Brian's down here doing like semaphores of everything that Marty's talking about. He's holding up buttons and cloths and everything. So nicely done, Brian. Jeff Gamet, thank you for being here. I hope your dumpster fires stop being dumpster fires pretty soon and that you get to live a calmer lifestyle. But until then, where can folks find you?
We can live in hope. And when I'm not marveling at Brian's ability to have the right prop at the right time, you can find me on the various social medias as Jay Gamet. I'm active mostly right now on Mastodon, PixelFed, and Blue Sky. Then let's go through some shows here for MacVoices Live on Tuesdays, and then on Dave Ginsburg's, that cool guy right there, Dave Ginsburg, on his In Touch with iOS on Thursdays, but this week Wednesday. Then on the British Tech Network, The Big Show and The Mac Show. Brian Chaffin and I are doing The Context Machine. Also, we just started a newsletter. I love that sticker. I'll have some of those stickers with me at MacStock this year. Anyhow, we started a newsletter. So go to contextmachine.io and sign up for our newsletter. Also, Patrice Brendamore and I do Retro Rewatch. Love that mug. I'll have those stickers at MacStock as well.
This is turning into the merch show all of a sudden. Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Another great sticker.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Jim Ray, thank you for being here as well.
Marty, where'd you get that? Just, Chuck, stop the show. Marty, where did you get that?
Etsy.
What?
Etsy.
The little finder guy.
It's the little finder guy.
I want a little finder guy.
Yeah, it's 3D
bought one on
printed.
Etsy. It hasn't come yet.
Yeah.
I need a link. Okay, I'm so sorry I interrupted, but that was like really important.
Okay. Jim Ray, I'm sorry. Did you model though for the little finder guy? Because Marty, hold it up again. It looks a little bit like Jim.
Actually, I've got the blue shirt on, so does Jim. But
yeah. I don't know. I see the.
I'm not really too sure how to take this.
Yeah, I'm not impressed either with that comparison.
Well, it was a lot of blue.
I have a wide variety of options of where I can get this kind of abuse.
Yeah, it's free.
Well, where else can people send you this kind of abuse, Jim? Where should they direct it?
Let me switch it up this week. You can find me on LinkedIn at Jim-Ray-5030-39370. That's 5030-39370. And next week, you'll also be able to find me at the Asilomore Microcomputer Workshop in Pacific Grove, California.
Great. So there you go, folks. Connect with Jim. Send your abuse. He loves it. And if you agree with me that he looks like the little finder guy, then tell him that too.
Shut up.
Guy Serle, thank you for being here. Where can folks connect with you?
Oh, every single week over on the G-Men show. Of course, last week I had Jeff Gamet. That's going to be released later on tonight, and we had a wonderful time. If you'd like to get a hold of me, it is gmenshow@icloud.com. I can be found on Twixter and Skies of Blue as either Mac Parrot or Shark. There's also Gaz can be found as Gazmaz on Mastodon and also over on Blue Sky. And if you'd like to send something to both of us, you can send it to Guy and Gaz on Twitter, Twaxter, and Skies of Blue.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you. Well, Bixby, thank you very much. I'm delighted that the Quilt Queen got to make a little guest appearance, even if she didn't consent to it and was kind of a miniature. But
she never does.
She never does. Where can folks find you, Webb?
Well, like I've said before, is that I'm usually on all the socials and I have the same handle, Webb Bixby, WEBBIXBY. And I kind of stick to the Blue Sky because I like the name. And you gave me the invite, Chuck, so I blame you. So,
well, you're not the first or the last. Thanks, Webb. Last but not least, David Ginsburg. Dave, thank you for being here. Where can folks find you?
Thanks as always for having me. You can find me at In Touch with iOS, intouchwithios.com, YouTube channel, youtube.com/intouchwithios. I'm on the Neo Notebook Sunday nights with Marty and Eric. Monday nights Vision Profiles, Marty and Eric. Tuesdays here on MacVoices Live. Record the show usually on Thursdays, but it'll be Wednesday this week. Then Fridays on the Mac Show, British Tech Network, and Blue Sky, Mastodon, Dave G65.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Folks, this is MacVoices Live. We do this Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. Again, a big thank you to everyone who showed up in the chat tonight. We want to get more people in there because it's just that much more fun when they're trading their ideas along with us trading ours. Check out MacVoices.com for all the NAB interviews that I did at the show. They're slowly rolling out. If you're into video production, even if you're not, there's some really cool stories and very interesting tech that is there. And I think that you will find it useful. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.